positive 3. We'll try one more example. 3 take away 7. So I find 3 on my number line, and I'm subtracting 7, so I'm going down 7. And on the number line, when I move from 3 to the left 7, I end up at negative 4. So negative 3 take away 7 is negative 4. So that's adding and subtracting with integers, and now we can move into multiplying and dividing with integers. And to do that, we need to remember our sign combinations. So if we're taking a positive and we multiply by a positive, two positives together, our overall answer is positive. If we take a positive number and we multiply it by a negative number, or we divide it by a negative number, our overall answer will be negative. Vice versa, if I take a negative number and I multiply or divide by a positive number, my overall answer is still negative. And if I take two negative numbers and multiply them or divide them, my overall answer is positive. So as an example, if I have the number 5 multiplied by negative 1, I have a positive number, 5, times a negative number, 1. And when I multiply these two numbers together, my overall answer is negative. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Likewise, negative 8 multiplied by negative 2. Well, I have two negative numbers now being multiplied, so my rules tell me my overall answer would be positive. 8 times 2 is, negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. One more example, negative 12 divided by 3, positive 3. Again, I have a negative number divided by a positive number, so my overall answer will be negative. 12 divided by 3 is 4, so negative 12 divided by positive 3 is negative 4. So we've looked at addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division on its own. Now let's start putting it all together, and when we put it all together, we need to remember BEDMAS. BEDMAS stands for brackets, exponents, divide, multiply, add, and subtract. BEDMAS tells you the order you should perform operations in, starting with brackets first and working your way down to subtraction. So a question like this, 8 divided by 2 plus negative 3 times negative 2, BEDMAS tells me to take care of the divisions first. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And I'm adding to that negative 3 times negative 2. BEDMAS next tells me to take care of the multiplications. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Two negatives multiplied gives you a positive. And then finally we do the addition. 4 plus 6 is 10. Notice how, as I'm solving, I'm working down, not across. Also notice how my equal signs all line up. These are parts of good form in mathematics. So as we're solving problems, we always want to be working down, not across, and making sure in our questions our equal signs line up, and we only have one equal sign per line. Last question, 3 plus 6 divided by negative 2, again. Start by solving the division. So we have 3 plus 6 divided by negative 2, and we have a positive divided by a negative, so that ends up being negative 3. As we're working through this question, I have 3 plus, in brackets, negative 3. You have to imagine that there's a invisible number 1 in the front of that bracket, which means I'm really multiplying 1 times negative 3. Positive 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And then my final answer, 3 take away 3, would be 0. Again, I'm working down, not across, and I have 1 equal sign per line.
Canada is a huge country, and each community has its own unique needs and interests. To serve Canadians most effectively, the government is split into 3 levels. The federal government is responsible for the entire country. Provincial and territorial governments are responsible for their province or territory, and local or municipal governments manage their city or town. So, what exactly does the federal government do? They handle all matters of national and international concern, like national defense, foreign affairs and trade, currency, fisheries and oceans, and citizenship and immigration. Provincial and territorial governments are responsible for more regional issues, like education, healthcare delivery, natural resources, and transportation and highways. Local and municipal governments represent the interests of cities, towns, and villages, and they're responsible for local matters such as waste removal, water and sewage, libraries, and parks and recreation. In Canada, we vote for people to represent us at each level. These representatives are then responsible for proposing, studying, debating, and voting on bills, which are potential laws. Still unsure of who's who? Here's a quick overview. Federal elected representatives are called Members of Parliament, or MPs for short. They gather to debate and pass laws in the House of Commons in Ottawa. Then, depending on where you live, the provincial or territorial elected representatives are known as members of the Legislative Assembly, members of provincial parliament, members of the National Assembly, or members of the House of Assembly. They meet at their respective legislatures in the capital of the province or territory. Finally, at the municipal level, our elected representatives are normally called councillors or aldermen, and they meet at their city or town hall. Each level of government also has a leader. The head of the federal government is the Prime Minister. The leader of the provincial or territorial government is the Premier, and the leader at the municipal level is usually a mayor or a reeve. Every day, many parts of your life are impacted by the different levels of government, and each government is led by politicians that we elect.
Really hard to see the first one, just so you know.
Oh,
The practice one, like
the practice
I was like,
one, she knew that the practice one was,
yeah, it was really hard to see what he was signing, so I was like,
yeah, and that was just a warm up, but yeah, doesn't that put you on your toes there?
oh, but I was like, I can't understand what this poor little kid is trying to say.
Although, you know what I could do? I can move it closer to her. If you're standing here, as long as you get the screen, we'll be able to hear you better.
That was a good idea, Paul.
Right? How about that? Okay?
Okay, Leah, it's okay. Is it a little stuffy in here too?
No, I think I'm just, nervous.
Well, I would be nervous too. It's still a test, no matter what we.
Yes, it's still a test.
Put
and
the word
it's-
test, we're all nervous.
Yeah, and think about, like, okay, after I'm done here,
Uh-huh.
I probably need a drink, but I mean, after I'm done here, do I go back to Notre Dame? Because there's nothing been set up with us because of the fact.
What do you normally do?
Well, usually, because sometimes we'll ask you guys if we can get together, but because we've set up these assessments, none of us can get together to do our PD or anything. And a lot of people are working on transitions for their students for next year. We're not, all three of us have no idea where we're going next year, so we can't work on anything like that. So I'm just want your directive of.
Let me see if I
Where
can
I-
find something out of
Just
that.
go home.
We don't want you drinking all
It's
day.
still recording.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry guys.
It's okay.
that part doesn't get evaluated.
No, it does not.
Just wondering what's happening.
Good question.
All right, so that's
Okay.
good.
Should
Okay.
start soon. Sorry about having to knock, I don't know.
Don't you have to press play or
I'm
something?
sorry
No,
for having like
it's
a
giving her
conversation.
nice, it's like a minute, or it's
Oh.
giving her a break.
Oh, now the camera needs to be turned towards the screen, but it's like shutting off or something.
No, no, it's gonna start.
It's starting again. It's Mine, story by Leone. There were 3 frogs and they were fighting. I'll tell you what the problem was. One, the third frog, Milton, Leona, and Bert, they were fighting.